Okay, welcome back to the next installment of the GT185 restoration on a budget. As you can see, we're starting to really come along, and in this video I'm going to be rebuilding the front brakes. So you can see there it's already installed. Look at the caliper put on. So this is basically an after, but during the video it shows what I was up against to actually get it to this point, and some of the corrosion and issues that I had to deal with, and how I got lucky in a few instances. So without further ado, let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so here we have the front brake caliper pretty much completely stripped down, and with anything with this bike, it's pretty filthy and messed up. I'm yet to try and get that piston out, but it's kind of still oozing gunky old fluid, and down in there, let's have a quick look. There's all sorts of bits in there, so who knows. I'm hoping, well, yeah, look at it. It doesn't give me good thoughts down inside the actual, down in here, but we'll just have to get that out and see. Everything's well and truly gunked up and wouldn't have been working very well. Of course, I'll give them a polish up before they go back in. So you can see these were sort of jammed in, corroded in. Had to bash them out. So here's our replacement parts. I've got a brake kit from these guys. So we'll just take a quick look and see what's inside. Okay, so we've got these. So that replaces them. They sit over here. Actually seal off the sliding area. These go down in there. So you got the inner seals, the outer seals. So in here you can see we've got those inner seals. We've got the banjo bolt seals, the cap for the bleeder, which is there as well, the new one. The dust seal and the seal for the piston. So that'll cover these two things here, that and whatever's inside there. Worst case scenario, I've actually got a GT750 kit here, and it's got a brand new piston. So if I have to borrow that, then at least I've got that as a backup. So these are the same size, so that's handy, because it's a bit of a bummer when you pull something apart, find things wrong, and then you've got to wait forever for parts. So I'm going to give that a clean up, and we'll move on. Okay, so I'm just kicking off trying to get this piston out, and it's already looking pretty grim. So that was the dust seal and the metal retaining ring that was part of it, and I've blown that out through there with some brake cleaner, and that's what came out. So I've really got my fingers crossed that this isn't going to be trashed inside. Okay, progress shot. I've managed to get that piston out, not without a fight, and I've cleaned up in the groove there with my little wire wheel, and there's some pitting in there, but the bore itself looks okay. I had a hard old time getting the old seal ring out from in there. You can see the state of it. Still got a bit of movement in there, but you can see all the muck that was around the edges of it, and it was really stuck in there good. Unfortunately, the piston got a bit chewed here and there. There's a bit of damage there. That's pitting. Yeah, that's actually pitting in the chrome. Yeah, so that's no good at all. So whether that got damaged or not didn't matter, because it's no good to use it again. So I got that spare one from the 750 pack, so that fits in there just nice. Okay, so we've skipped ahead and got all our bits and pieces cleaned up and painted now. I didn't worry about filming that because, well, there's a million videos on cleaning things and painting them, but in case you're wondering how I got mine cleaned up, most of it was with the wire wheel and some smaller things. A piece of Scotch-Brite always comes in handy. I've got this little attachment I put in the drill to get into these places. I bought a little set of wire brushes to go in the drill. That's the little set that I use quite often to clean things up. These bits, I've just cleaned them on the wire wheel, give them a quick buff. Swap the washers out for stainless ones. So because I'm going to be doing a little bit more building later on, I've got sort of a pack of, I think it was 100 washers, stainless washers. So they come in quite a few sizes, springs, flats, and they'll polish up if you wanted to shine a bit more. But these are really handy if you want to do some restoration stuff. Because for example, the spring washer on there, that was mild steel, it was rusty, so I've just swapped it out for that. Nice and easy, don't have to clean it up, less fiddling around, and it's not going to rust again. So I'm going to get to it, and I'll start reassembling this thing, and I'll bring you guys along. Look at this, go straight in there. Okay, so one thing I've found out is to put this dust seal on here, I had to recover this little ring that came off. Now it goes on there, and when that goes in, this bit goes into the groove there, but this little bit here sits over the top of that lip there. So I didn't realise I needed this bit, and so I had to just quickly give it a clean up, give it a paint. So yeah, it was a bit corroded, so I'm kind of lucky that it was still usable. But anyway, now that I've got that ready, we'll move on. So I've got myself a nice new brake line in here. It's like a pizza box from these guys. And there's the brake line, and with that comes these two banjo bolts and seals. Right, so moving on to the other end of the braking system, I've got some master cylinders here, and once again it's kind of working with bits and pieces that are in a pretty bad state. These don't look so bad because I've given them a clean up. I'll tell you the backstory on those in a minute. Right, so to give you an idea of what I found inside some of these things, that sort of speaks for itself. I kind of had to destroy this stuff as far as the retaining clip that holds the pistons in. So here's some really good examples of what you find. Just corroded. Terrible. So pretty much junked. Yeah, that bit there is actually rubber. Barely tell. So luckily I've got 3 to choose from. So like I say, that's the original, and that's kind of pretty terrible. I got given this from a friend at work who's building a GT550, and he's put a modern front end on that, so he didn't need this. And I've given this a clean up. I put some of the best parts on here so far. So down in there it doesn't seem too bad, and the overall condition seems good. This is one of the better sight glasses, I guess you could say, or reservoirs, and the same with that bottom plate there and screws. So as a comparison, you get stuff like this, and that's what you get for the screws. There's the reservoir that come off it, the original. So as you can see, that's pretty good. This is a bit discolored, but I think we'll be okay. You hold it up to the light and it's actually alright. See through that pretty good. And before I even realised I was going to get this, I'd already decided to buy another one online. So this is it here, and it's reasonably good. It's got the front brake light switch thing going on there. As far as what the bore is like, I'm going to have another look at that. So I've got my work cut out for me here to just make sure I've got the right bits, the best bits, and we can put ourselves together something out of these 3, although I don't think I'll be using much from that one. Okay, I'm just in the process of taking this one that I bought online apart, and I've just had a hell of a job getting that off. And this is what's inside. So oh man, that is just so bad. It's all corrosion mixed with brake fluid. So this is the original one that come off it, so you can see that's kind of what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, that's a really bad sign. Here's another. That piston down in there is stuck down inside. So I'm not holding out much hope for this. Anyway, I'll see if I can show you down inside the other piston bores. Let's have a bit of a go here. Okay. And you can get a bit of an idea on some of the pitting down in there. That looks pretty gruesome. So this is the one that I'm looking to use. Still a little bit of stuff there to clean out. Just a little bit there at the beginning of the bore. But all in all, I think there's some muck down the end there that needs cleaning out. But I think we might get away with it with this one. Here's hoping anyway. So that's where we're at with this. I managed to get the piston out and give that a clean up. We'll have a look down in there in a minute, but this is what you get. It's just, that's supposed to be perfectly clean inside there. And look at it. It's just that. So that's the spring, and here's the piston. So you can see like this is corrosion powder. So that was kind of like solid in here. So originally I thought this other little hole here was a blank, but it's not. It's actually a little bleed hole. And this was blocked, and I've managed to clear it out. But unfortunately, in the process of cleaning the whole thing, hopefully this shows up. Yep. There we go. That's as good as you're going to get. All that rough area down in there is just corrosion, or the pitting that the corrosion's left. So unfortunately, even though this thing looks good, it's cleaned up reasonably well, it's toast. That's the killer down in there. If down in there is no good, the whole thing's had it. Okay, so we're going to go with the master cylinder that my mate Steve gave me from work. That's the best of the three. And I've got my kit laid out here. And just one thing I wanted to bring to anyone who's going to be doing this job, bring to their attention, not all the kits have this little guy here. So what that is, this is the GT185 book. This one. So it really show it very well. But it's this little thing at the bottom here. So this is the GT750 book. And these master cylinders are pretty much the same. So it's this little bit here. The check valve. Part number 2. Check valve. So without that, it's just not going to work properly. So I've had, this is actually the third kit that I bought, because the first one didn't have it. The second one I bought, the quality, I just wasn't really impressed with the quality of how the bits were made. But this one seems okay, and came from these guys. I'll give them a plug when they deserve it. I'll give them a plug. And this was actually the brand and the part number. So this kit is actually listed for a GT125. When I was looking around for a kit, a lot of places would say they were for the 185 and the 125. So when I ordered this one, the 185 wasn't listed, so I took a gamble and ordered the 125, and this one's exactly the same. So in it goes. So let's see if we can get this master cylinder together. Here's our O-ring in here, so I'll just get that a bit of lubricate, pop it in. So we've managed to get that circlip popped in down there. And the piston goes up and down. That circlip actually spins around in the groove there, so that's how I know it's fully seated. So now we've got this dust cap to get on. Okay, so that dust boot's on. I'll have to shine a bit of light in there. There we go. That was pretty easy actually, it just pushes down in there without too much problems. Okay, let's get the rest of it together. So we'll just pop one of them on there for the moment. I managed to salvage this from the original master cylinder. It's got a few rough edges, but it'll do. So I'll just pop that on there for now. I'll just put these bits and pieces on so that it's all together. And there we have it, ready to go on. Right, so we can just loose fit this up here. That will go about there. There we go. So I ended up actually going the extra yard and doing this brake switch here. You can see it under there. Cleaned it out, had to resolder some of the connections. It's routed through, comes through here and plugs into this plug that had nothing plugged into it when I first got the bike. I've got the power connected. And we're in business. And that's looking pretty sweet too. Okay, so I've done some more on this. I think it's finished off now. I managed to salvage the spring from the old brake line, and that's down in there to protect the new brake line from rubbing on things. And it's routed down through here, in between there. And I've got the old bracket that came off, so this little bracket I've had to bend it a little bit just to allow this to go through. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this here or not, but it's a little bit of heater hose or fuel hose, whatever it was, and I've just so that it doesn't rub on there. So we'll see. For now, that's just protecting it. Coming down here, that's the old bracket as well. It came with a new grommet, but that was really loose inside here, so I put another bit of fuel hose in there just to take up the gaps, and it routes round the fork. It's not too tight against there. A little bit of polish on that. It's a stainless banjo bolt, and just got this loose. So we're all buttoned up and ready to go. Right, so I've got it all together, and I've just been bleeding the line through. Got a reservoir all filled up there, and we've actually got some pressure there, some pretty good pressure. So that's it, done. We've got front brakes now. How exciting. Another milestone. So the more I'm squeezing this thing, the better the pressure gets. I might have to give that another bleed sometime in the future, but I'll let that just work itself out for a while. It's pretty good now. So I think we'll call it there for this video. I'm really pleased on getting that brake system fixed and working as well as it does. That wasn't me. I did have some grave concerns about the condition of the master cylinder and the caliper, but it seems they've worked out fine, luckily, because these are expensive parts and it's much easier to refurbish what you've got than to be buying new stuff. So on that, I'd like to thank everyone who's been following along with this build. And as you can see, it's, well, I think I say this every time, but every time I do some work, it just keeps looking better and better. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Next time around, we'll see if we can get some of this wiring and indicators, a few other little knickknacks tidied up, and that'll pretty much leave the tank as the last thing to do. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.